Welcome to this week's campfire tale. This week's story is actually fairly well known as it originates from the Brothers Grimm. However, it is a tale that I find highly underrated in children's books and tales. It's a story of four different animals working together toward a common goal while also teaching us that age is but a number. So, without further ado, here is the story of the Bremen town musicians. Once upon a time that never was and always is, there was a certain man who had a donkey, which had carried the corn sacks to the mill for many long years. But his strength was going, and he was growing more and more unfit for work. Then his master began to consider how he might get rid of the donkey. The donkey, seeing that no good wind was blowing his way, ran away and set out on the road to Bremen. There, the donkey thought, I can surely be a town musician. When he had walked some distance, he found a hound laying on the road, gasping like one who had run until he was tired. What are you gasping so for, big fellow? Asked the donkey. Ah, replied the hound, as I am old and daily growing weaker and can no longer hunt, my master wanted to kill me, so I took flight. But now, how am I to earn my bread? I'll tell you what, said the donkey. I am going to Bremen and shall be the town musician there. Go with me and engage yourself also as a musician. I will play the lute, and you can beat the kettle drum. The hound agreed, and on they went. Before long, they came to a cat sitting on the path with a face like 3 rainy days. Now then, old cat, what has gone askew with you? Asked the donkey. Who can be merry when his neck is in danger? Answered the cat. Because I am now getting old, my teeth are worn to stumps, and I prefer to sit by the fire and spin rather than hunt about for mice. My mistress wants to drown me, so I ran away. But now good advice is scarce. Where am I to go? Go with us to Bremen. You understand night music, so you can be a town musician, said the donkey. The cat thought well of it and decided to go with them. After this, the three animals came to a farmyard where a rooster was sitting upon the gate, crowing with all of his might. Hey, your crow goes through and through one, said the donkey. What is the matter? Oh, guests are coming Sunday, and the housewife has no pity for me. She has told the cook she intends to eat me in the soup tomorrow, and this evening I am to have my head cut off. Now I am crowing at full pitch while I can. Ah, but rooster, said the donkey, you had better come away with us. We are going to Bremen. You can find something better than death everywhere. You have a good voice, and if we make music together, it must have some quality. The rooster agreed to this plan, and all four went on together. They could not, however, reach the city of Bremen in one day, and in the evening they came to a forest where they meant to pass the night. The donkey and the hound laid themselves down under a large tree. The cat and the rooster settled themselves in the branches, but the rooster flew right to the top where he felt most safe. Before he went to sleep, he looked round on all four sides and thought he saw in the distance a little spark burning. So he called out to his companions that there must be a house not far off, for he saw a light. The donkey said, If so, we had better get up and go on, for the shelter here is not too good. The hound thought that a few bones with some meat on it would also do him good. So they made their way to the place where the light was, and soon saw it shine brighter and grow larger until they came to a well-lighted robber's house. The donkey, as the biggest, went to the window and looked in. Hey, what do you see, gray horse? Asked the rooster. What do I see? Answered the donkey. A table covered with good things to eat and drink, and the robbers sitting at it enjoying themselves. Oh, that would be the sort of thing for us, said the rooster. Yes, yes. Ah, how I wish we were there, said the donkey. Then the animals took counsel together how they should manage to drive away the robbers, and at last they thought of a plan. The donkey was to place himself with his forefeet upon the window ledge. The hound was to jump on the donkey's back. The cat was to climb upon the dog. And lastly, the rooster was to fly up and perch upon the head of the cat. When this was done, at a given signal, they began to perform their music together. The donkey brayed, the dog barked, cat mewed, and the rooster crowed. Then they burst through the window in the room so that the glass clattered. At this horrible noise, the robbers sprang up, thinking a ghost had come in, and fled in a great fright out into the forest. The four companions now sat down at a table, well content with what was left, and ate as if they were going to fast for a month. As soon as the four animals were done, they put out the light, and each sought for himself a sleeping place according to his nature and to what suited him. The donkey laid himself down upon some straw in the yard, the hound behind the door, the cat upon the hearth near the warm ashes, and the rooster perched himself upon a beam on the roof. And being tired with their long walk, they soon went to sleep. When it was past midnight and the robbers saw from afar that the light was no longer burning in the house and all appeared quiet, the captain said, "We ought not to have let ourselves be frightened out of our wits." And he ordered one of them to go and examine the house. The messenger, finding all still, went into the kitchen to light a candle, and taking the glistening, fiery eyes of the cat for live coals, he held a match to them to light it. But the cat did not understand the joke and flew in his face, spitting and scratching. He was dreadfully frightened and ran to the back door, but the dog, who lay there, sprang up and bit his leg, and as soon as he ran across the yard by the straw heap, the donkey gave him a smart kick with its hind foot. The rooster, too, who had been awakened by the noise and had become lively, cried down from the beam, "Cock-a-doodle-doo!" Then the robber ran back as fast as he could to his captain and said, "Oh, there's a terrible, horrible witch sitting in the house. She spat on me and scratched my face with her long claws. And by the door stands a man with a knife who stabbed me in the leg. And in the yard there lies a black monster who beat me with a wooden club. And above, upon the roof, sits the judge who called out, 'Bring the rogue here to me.' So I got away as well as I could." After this, the robbers did not trust themselves in the house again, but it suited the four musicians of Bremen so well that they did not care to leave it any more. And the mouth of him who last told this story is still warm and alive. And that was the story of the Bremen town musicians. Now let's break down the symbology. So, in Jungian psychology, animals often represent instinctual aspects of the self. And each animal in this story embodies a different aspect of the psyche, which forms a whole. So, the donkey, or the ego, the worker, represents perseverance and service. It reflects the ego's role in navigating the demands of an external world. The donkey's rejection by its master parallels how we often discard parts of ourselves that we no longer find productive or valuable. The dog is the protector or the loyal self, which embodies loyalty, protection, primal instinct. The dog is safeguarding the boundaries of the self. It represents our emotional body and protective instincts. The cat, which often represents shadow or the wild self in stories, are often seen as liminal creatures, and they symbolize independence, cunning, mysteriousness. The cat